Welcome back to Black Girl Couch Reviews. I'm your host, Christina. We are back for another recap and review. This one of Black Summer Season 1, Episode 2, Drive. This was a good ass episode. Very claustrophobic, a lot going on following two of our groups now that they have ended up meeting each other and kind of, figuring out a little bit more. We even got more names, a little bit of back history, as it is a fucking nightmare out there and people really need to survive right now. And the struggle is all the way 100% real. The majority of the episode entitled Drive was spent with three of our characters, Barbara, William, and Sun, the Korean woman from last episode, the Barbara who we met last episode, who was hijacked, and then I don't think we met William last episode. At least I don't recall. I just remember him pulling the other Dan out of the car, Ben, or whoever his name was, and beating his ass and getting back in the car. So it turns out that he was just doing a good Samaritan thing and he wasn't even trying to jack them. And even if they were, Barbara was like, I'm still staying in this back damn seat. I don't give a fuck. Oh, but let me tell you something. Spoiler alert, R.I.P. Barbara, and I was not sad to see you go. I was not. I was like, this bitch gotta go. I was trying to feel so empathetic for her, but she was bringing us down. So I gave this episode a 9.8 out of 10. It was really good and solid on the van. The other stuff was felt like more filler, just moving from one point to the other, which is fine. But we definitely got the majority of the good stuff in this van as they're trying to make their way to the stadium. So this episode was directed and written by John Hyams. I'm gonna fuck up his name a lot. And he worked on Z Nation before as well with Carl Schaefer, who was the showrunner. As I said in my last video podcast, that Carl Schaefer is actually was the showrunner of Z Nation. And when that was canceled, a lot of people thought that maybe Z Nation would go to Netflix, particularly since they are showing the prequel to that show. But at the same time, I can see why they would have, I'm not happy where they left Z Nation, of course. I did not get my Murphy Warren kiss like I needed, but it's fine. If they can incorporate those characters somehow into this show, if it can pick up for more seasons, which I think it got renewed for a season 2, not 100% sure, but I will check. I would love to see that. So starting off the episode, we begin in this van we pick right up with William, who is the guy that beat the Ben guy, and we see Sun, who's kind of staring at him, and they're driving, and he tells them, hey, I'm not a bad guy. I don't do terrible things. But the first thing he says is, I'm not going to rape you. And I was like, wow, apparently that is running around rampant. And he needs to have someone navigate for him, because he kind of know where he is, but he doesn't, because he mentions later on as he's driving around, like, you guys don't want to hear something crazy. Just a few months ago, I was working on that pole. So he tells them that he's aware of the neighborhood, but I guess he doesn't know where the stadium is, which that would make sense, I guess. And we get Barbara trying to read this map, and she keeps saying, I wish I had my glasses.
Bye, Felicia.
And I'm like, Barbara, no. Barbara, you don't even know what, like, that's the whole thing. And then she mentions that she's been surviving, 2 or 3 whole weeks without her husband. So that gives us a time reference to when the outbreak has occurred and to where they are right now. And he even asks, do you got family? Are they still alive? And she goes, oh, I don't think so. So she clearly does not think her husband is still at the stadium, whereas William mentions that his family is in Texas with his sister, and that he's not a quote-unquote bad guy. Again, he's the good guy, but what does that mean now? I guess it just means that I'm not going to leave you or rape you or do any of these other horrible things that are going on around. And then we don't get much into Sun's story until a little bit later, but she takes, because they kind of like, okay, where do I go? And Barbara just keeps mentioning the fact that, oh, I don't know, I wish I really had my glasses because I can't really see. And she, Sun that is, snatches the map from her and figures out where they need to go, despite the fact that there's a language barrier and she can't speak English, because he even asked, do you speak it? She's like, no. And Barbara is like, I speak English, and don't worry about me. I can handle my own out here. Ma'am. If you can handle your own, then when you see two people buckling their seatbelts, you need to do the same damn thing, is all I'm saying. But despite the fact that Sun is like, shut up, let me work this out with the map, and telling him where they need to go, which is make a left, she does grab Barbara's hand to let her know it's fine. And it turns out that that's who she's looking for, is her mom, that obviously is an older lady. And so there's a bit of empathy that Sun has for Barbara in the back seat. Like, I'm used to dealing with annoying ass old women, and I cannot even imagine the conversations going on in Korean. I love that we have a character who cannot speak a lick of English, or can, not lick of, she can say a few words and she can imitate things, but she's definitely learning on the fly. That's not a way you want to learn English, but she's making it work, and she's clearly not a dumb person. She's actually very intelligent, and they start, driving when she notices that there's a black truck that is following them, kind of parallel to how they're driving. And William, who has to be my second favorite character after Sun, it keeps saying motherfuckers. Motherfuckers. He's seeing that he doesn't know why that they're following them, and Sun says it's gaso. And he's like, gas? And I like their little partnership too, because despite the language barrier, they do understand each other, which is kind of something I know profound about society and human beings when we have to work together under stress. But I do like that despite the fact that he does not speak a lick of Korean, he can peep what she's talking about, or at least figure it out for the most part. And he's like, what? They want to steal our gas? He's like, motherfuckers. And then we go to the nature show, where we catch up with Go Chain, Ryan. I guess I'm gonna call him Spears because I keep calling him Go Chain, but we know that's not his name. But Spears, Rose, Ryan, and the one guy in the back, I don't remember what his name is. And they come upon a woman sitting in her car with her daughter, and she says, should we help them? And then just as she's about to approach the car, the lady has a gun and just shows it to them. And the little kid's in the passenger seat looking scared as shit. And he grabs her like, no, not if you want to get shot. And I'm like, that's pretty obvious. But why are you just sitting there in the car? I would think she would try to find some safety. But I guess it's really clear that being a female and alone out here right now is not a good thing. And that's sad, because there are just apparently gangs of men running around trying to rape and kidnap women, which is really fucked up, and I think way darker than Z Nation ever got. I think there was always allusions to things, but it never really the meat of this, the one scene just made my skin crawl. And I was wondering, I'm sorry, I was like, come on now. Like, I know he has to hold his bullets, but I would have shot all three people in that car, taken the car, and then rescued that girl. There's just no way in hell, if I had that capability and I had a gun, that I would not. But I guess, I don't know. That was just really hard for me as a mother. And then seeing Rose as a mother too, kind of, like her, Jamie King is doing the worst acting humanly possible. Like, I can already tell I'm not going to be down with this character whatsoever. But then they watch Ring Around the Rosie with a zombie as these two people run around. And like, this is kind of the Z Nation aspect of it all, is that the one guy's running around the car, or him and his girlfriend running around the car, and the zombie's chasing them. And again, why don't you get in the car, in the truck? I get it. Like, maybe one race, like you jump in real quick and then I'm gonna chase him, and then you hold the door open so I can jump in real quick, and then he'll eventually go away. No, instead the girl gets got because she's too slow, and then he comes back and the guy's like, get away from her, get away from her. Oh, which is hilarious. And then they both turn and run after them. And Ryan, who's been watching this and is deaf probably, stands up to kind of help, but Rose puts him back down like, boy, what are we gonna do about this situation? And that's kind of where we leave them. So then we move back to Barbara, Son, and William, and he's telling him that this road's shit. We need to get off of this road. And she's giving him the look of death. I mean, her Korean side eye is no joke. She looked right at him like,
help me, nigga.
Hands down, my favorite character. Oh, that is so real. Like, what? Like, this is a bad idea. I don't like it. But he tells her, I know the neighborhood, I know where I'm going, and we need to get to another road. And then as they go to this other road, they are quickly accosted by people throwing rocks at them. Someone threw a Molotov cocktail at them. And then everyone in the car, or at least all the females in the car, start screaming. And I was very disappointed in my sex, because he's screaming, but he's just like, chill the fuck out. And everyone else is just freaking. I could kind of understand the old white woman, because she probably never had to deal with anything stressful in her fucking life, like out in these streets in the hood. But at the same time, I feel like the Korean woman could have held it down just a little bit. Like, why is screaming? Why is that going to help here? Not at all. It just creates more tension and more headache. And oh, the old woman was the worst for me. She's just like, oh my God. I was like, so can someone please put something in her mouth? Please. And then as they're getting through, they're driving off a little bit more. She tells him to let the man drive. Like, yeah, you can definitely tell she's a housewife and never probably had any balls a day. And it's fine. But they are dragging something and they don't know what it is. And I forgot, this is called Bicycle. That's where they start. I like the show title cards. It's actually really kind of cool. It's a different way to tell us a zombie story, and I find myself really liking it. And like I said before, it's really fucking easy when you're podcasting. Anyway, they need to get whatever is what they're dragging, because it's slowing them down. And Son says pull over. And she's like, right there. And then here comes Barbara in the backseat talking about, I don't think that's a good idea. What are we going to do, Barbara? Just keep dragging the thing around? Like, you ain't obviously putting yourself out there in danger. So shut the fuck up and stay in the backseat. But William, that is, assures Son, we're not going to leave you. I'm not going to leave you. And she's a little freaked out. She goes to look under the front of the car, which I was thinking, girl, that is not the front of the car. That is not where that dragon is, and you know it. And he tells her, hey, it's in the back of the car. She takes this really long moment to look back just to make sure everything's clear. And I would think they would let her know if it's not. And she sees immediately that it's a bicycle underneath the tire, and she starts to pull it out. And here comes a zombie flying around the corner, and Barbara puts her head out the window and she's like, get in the car. And I'm like, wow, was that necessary, Barbara, for you to scream that damn loud? Like, there is no chill on Barbara whatsoever. And Son, though, I mean, the G that she is like, no, we kind of really need to get this off the fucking car. So despite the Z coming, she ends up getting the bicycle loose. She jumps back in the car and they drive off, but the zombie jumps on the back of the car. Now this part, I really like the claustrophobic feel of the camera work and them panicking with the zombie just making all this noise, trying to get on the back of the car, and they're trying to stop and go and stop and go. The jerky motion of the camera, you really felt like you were in that damn car. Like, it was hurting my freaking heart. I was like, ouch, my back. Wait, I'm not in this car. And then every time Son's head hit the gosh damn dashboard, I was like, this poor girl's gonna have fucking serious head damage that someone's gonna need to address in the future. I'm really surprised that, she didn't have a gash or anything the many times she hit her head on the dashboard. Well, I forgot, they were looking for a gun earlier as well in the previous scene in the glove box, but there was nothing in there. Because he said, anybody got a gun? No, nobody got any weapons. That's what we need. really need those weapons. And Sun, first they think they lost the dude, which I'm like, come on now, Barbara, you saw him climb up there. Even I saw him climb up there. And I love how when William freaks out, he just starts cursing up a gosh damn story. He's like, motherfucker, I get you, motherfucker. So many motherfuckers and fuck you. And he's like, you gonna get off the motherfucking car. Then the zombie, of course, hits through the window. I thought he was gonna break the windshield, because first he crawls, then he gets to the front, and they try to get him off, and he can really hold on, right? And then he busts out the driver's side window, grabs William, and I was like, oh damn, William won't get got already. Even though I think William ain't long for this world, which I'm really sad about. Because that zombie has him full on by the damn neck. And he asked Sun to grab the hammer. He's like, grab my hammer. And she grabs it, and I'm like, girl, why aren't you hitting him? But I guess they were moving so much, she was like, I'm not about to hit you in the face. And she does the smart thing and crawls out of her window, hits the zombie. It turns to look at her, and then she takes that hammer and whacks the shit out of him. And then he is able to break and get the zombie off of the car. And then when the zombie stands up, they proceed to run his ass the fuck over like Grand Theft Auto, and it's awesome and amazing. And poor William got scratches all over his neck that he takes some rag to wipe off, and I'm like, oh no, he infected. But again, Sons look at him.
I told you. What did I tell you? Didn't I tell you? 'Cause I told you. And when did I tell you? A long time ago. And what did I say will happen when I told you? Exactly what just happened.
He was like, maybe that was a bad idea. Okay, that was a bad road. I should have stayed on the road. Next time I will listen to you. She definitely put that wife look on him like, what did I tell you? What did I tell you? We should have stayed on the same damn road. Then we probably would have been to our destination. You wanted to make some shortcuts. And then that's when I think Barbara says, they said it's easier on foot than it is driving, which I totally agree. I 100% agree. I think driving makes you a damn target. Like, I get it, why you would want to get a car and drive off, but at the same time, it seems like shit hit the fan like really bad. And having a vehicle makes you pretty much a target. And if you don't have a weapon in that vehicle, that's terrible. So right after this, she decides to take some snacks out of her bra. I don't know if they was in her bra, but it felt like they was in her bra. And she decides to feed everyone after their ordeal. And he had given everybody water before. And I was like, ooh, backwash. But hey, if you thirsty, you ain't got time to be all germophobic like I am. And that's when Barbara starts pushing up some tears, because he mentions that this is the first one he's actually seen up close, that it's worse than what he thought. So even though they've heard about these things on the news and stuff like that, not too many people have, it would seem, encountered the zombies. And Barbara says, well, she saw one through a fence, and it's amazing to her because she could not tell the way he was banging if someone was alive in there or not. I'm not sure if she's talking about her husband, but it seemed like she was talking about her husband, especially after she said, oh no, I don't think he's alive. And that she's been surviving for a few weeks without him. I don't think he's at the stadium. I think she's just trying to get to the stadium. And then ever the chivalrous man, William gives her his bloody handkerchief, his bloody rag they was using. And she did have the audacity to be touched. She was like, oh, I was laughing my ass off. And he comes in with his Bible thumping shit like, you know what? This is just punishment. This is punishment for all the bad shit we did. Because that's, of course, the number one reason. Like, oh, the world goes to shit. It must be punishment. Or it could be humans fucking up like we always do. Doing some shit we shouldn't be doing. And we getting fucked up. That's going to be the end of the world. Ain't going to have nothing to do. Like the Lord gonna, like, I'll be up in heaven like, I had like 200 more years to go for you guys, but you know, y'all keep on fucking up like this, thinking you the shit. Come on now, that virus man-made. Anyways, she tells him to go a different way. No. They just as they stop, which that was throwing me off too. I was like, why the hell they keep stopping? But they stopped like they were stopping at a stop sign. But I guess they need a moment. And she starts hitting on him, and he's like, what? Exactly. You can keep speaking Korean, ma'am, but it doesn't mean that he's gonna know exactly what you're saying. And Barbara ain't said nothing like, oh my God, they're still following us. And the black truck that they saw before is still behind them. They thought they lost him, but they didn't. And then we pick up with the next scene, which is called The Others, which is apparently these people in the black truck. And they're just menacingly being behind them. So they're being assholes. Because not only are you trying to steal your gas, but you're trying to do it in a way to create fear and mayhem, which means that you're probably psychologically... I am so thrown by the kindness in Sun and William's soul that they left the door open for these motherfuckers that literally tried to kill them. I will never understand. But they are just rubbing their engines, and then William's like, I'm going out there with my hammer. And I'm like, my dude. And Barbara's like, I don't think that's a good idea, but mainly I don't want to be left here by myself. You're the only man. And then he even thinks about it, like, for all his big bad talk, he didn't get the fuck out of the car. He was like, oh, okay. Why were the lights flashing on the truck? Was that a sign to just pull the fuck over? I thought maybe they were flashing to other people. I didn't know why the lights were flashing on the black car as the van pulls off and it starts a chase. Or I thought maybe they wanted a race, because you know, when people are fucking weird, they're fucking weird. And they make a few turns and they end up down this alleyway and they lose the black truck. And then here comes these loud ass people screaming, banging on their door, talking about, let us in, get us to the stadium, we have water, we have food, but where is it at? Because I just see you two folks, I don't see it. But then the lady cracked me up. She's like, I will suck your dick. And then they drive off and leave them. Now, why did they leave them? I didn't understand. Maybe because they were loud, because they didn't have a chance to, because when they all met, they were strangers. So it throws me off when you see two other people that are in need of help, because that's the same thing that, I don't know, the other survivors were doing. Like, why don't, when they were, and we'll get to that scene in a minute, but how do they choose who to help and who? Because they were loud and they told them to shut the fuck up and they just wouldn't shut up. They decided they were expendable, because I would have just opened the van and let them in. More people is better than no people. And these two idiots don't look like, I mean, they look like they need some assistance and they'll follow along. But they end up losing the black truck and they are driving along after leaving the two people, getting chased by another zombie. And we get a moment to get some character perspective, because you see Sun looking back at Barbara with this look on her face, kind of like she reminds her of someone, and she grabs her locket. And that's when William asks, do you have a picture in there? And she's like, picture? And she shows them both that it's a picture of her mama. And she says she looks just like you. And is she alive? And she's like, yeah, she's alive. William says, you're going to get to her. Don't worry about that. And that's when they decide to introduce themselves. He says, I'm William. And she introduced herself as Barbara. And her name is Woo Kun-soon. And then they try to say it for a few times. And she goes, son? Yeah, just call me that. And I love his line. It isn't nice meeting you, but here we are. And Sun repeats, here we are. And that's where we leave them at. And then we go to the follower. So that's where we have Spears and Rose talking. She asks how much ammunition. What did she say at first? Because she clearly doesn't know much about guns. And she says, how many do you have? Then she clarifies, how many bullets do you have? And he says he's got a clip and a half. And he's like, that's not enough. I wish we had a car and we need more weapons. Ryan's back there still looking lost, and the one dude apparently doesn't have speaking lines because he's not relevant yet, or he's gonna die, one or the other. And they are still walking around and they come upon the same car, and they point out, hey, is that the same car? And they're like, yeah, but there's a different driver. And then there's this stare off where the car is just revving their engines and it decides to drive off, and the little girl is in there with 3 disgusting ass men. I'm sorry. When they did the slow ride, that's when old dude Spears should have put up his weapon and did 3 clips to the driver and taken that shit out. There's no way in hell, I'm sorry, if I saw a little girl about to be raped, that I could just stand there, especially when I'm armed. Even if the other people are armed too, but at least you're on even track. To watch her drive off and then see Rose say, "Where's her mother?" I almost wanted to slap her in her teeth. And then everyone else, I was like, y'all ratchet ass people. I'm not feeling y'all right now. That just really disturbed the shit out of me. And the fact that they took no action at that disturbed the shit out of me too. It's probably real. That's what people do. But it was still disappointing to see in what I believe, or maybe there is no antagonist. Shit. Only antagonist I see right now is Sun. Shoot, she the one that really risked her life to get that bicycle off. She was kind to that old freaking woman, Barbara, who, even though she knows she was not ready, not ready for this world whatsoever. And she even helped William after. She's the antagonist, honestly. Rose is shit. Then we get to Last Stop, where it's towards the end of the episode. Again, these episodes go so quick, which I really enjoy because it feels like a quickly moving scenario. You're not bogged down by filler. Everything is moving. Even when I felt like with Chains and his crew, that they were more the filler aspect. It was kind of just to see how terrible, and just checking in with them and seeing how terrible the world is on foot, versus the more interesting things that were happening in the van. So they are begging Sun to sing, and my dude William up here drinking some straight ass liquor, dark liquor too. And I was like, boy, I know you got that spice in your veins, but this is not the time to be day drinking. It really is not. But he was sucking from the bottom, and it's been a rough day. I can't blame him. I can't. But you don't drink and drive, bro. And the black truck catches up with them as they're singing their song. It scared the living shit out of me. It came out of nowhere, and I was waiting for the jump scare too, because I thought it was coming way other moments, and I'm glad that they got me. They did get me. And what proceeds is a chase off in which William has lost his damn mind. He's talking about pull over pussy, get out the car. You know how you be acting a fool on the freeway when someone pisses you off? You're like, get the fuck out of the car then. I'll whoop your ass. But at the same time, like, boy, you ain't got no weapons. You got a hammer. You got an old woman in the back, and you got Sun. What are we doing? But at the same time, you've been chasing me. At that point, Sun's ride or die too, because she's screaming at them in Korean. She's like, I'm tired of y'all shit. Y'all been playing possum with us all day. And now I'm just mad. And I kind of get that part too. And then as they are, they ended up switching on them, where the van ends up being the antagonizer and starts going after the black truck after he gets behind him. Like, oh, how you like that now? And then he tells Sun, put on your seatbelt. Now, she don't speak fucking English, and she could put on the seatbelt, but Barbara in the back seat looked like she just knitting. And I'm like, Barbara, what the heck? Like, he telling you he's ramming this truck, and you ain't even struggling to put your seatbelt on? Barbara, that's why you got what you got. Because as he's telling him to pull the fuck over, and they having a macho man fight, neither one of them see this fucking barrier in front of their ass, and they both crash into it. And it's not good, because Barbara go flying through the back seat, through the windshield, and out the car. And then Sun is all fucked up in the head. I thought William for certain was dead, but he had that seatbelt on, because that's what you do. He had the seatbelt on, and you could see that his hand was moving. That's why I was like, damn, is that just reflex? What is that? Where his hand kept moving on the glass dashboard. And Barbara has already turned, so it does not take long for these zombies to turn. And you could see that this other dude's like got his head window busted out, and he's like, help me. Please help me. He's struggling to get out of his seatbelt. And he's like, hey, his son gets William out, like, come on, we gotta go. But his friends, now that he was chasing them and started all this shit, has turned into zombies and coming after that ass, and he gonna jump out the car with his ratchet ass girlfriend. And I'm like,
Why you running? Why are you running?
And they all run into, well, first Son, because Son and William had they had some some track in there back in their day, because they was gone, they was dipping out. Like, how you even get a concussion like that and still be functioning? But that's called survival instinct. And they run though into this store. Granted, where else you gonna run? But I was like, damn, there's windows everywhere, guys. There's like plexiglass, and we've seen them literally drive through plexiglass. But I guess for plot factors, it works. And they all get in. And let me tell you, my surprise when he let them motherfuckers in the door, I was like, William, you always a good dude. You the best. Because I would have left them right out there. I was like, karma's a biatch. But they ended up saving the people who started all this shit in the first place. They could have been at the stadium by now. And Barbara and poor, I don't even know who the other person was. They outside banging on the door. And that's how we leave the episode. Because Son looking at Barbara like, aw, I wanted, like, I made a connection with you. They were singing about the birds. And now Barbara did. Trying to eat her. Trying to eat them both. So this was really, really good. I had a lot of fun with it. I'm excited to see where it goes next. I'm glad that they're not moving. Like, it seems like it's going to be like a 2-day thing. They're scene to scene, back to back, and I really love the pace of it. It's a really good pace show thus far. I'm really going to be, it's going to be hard for me not to want to watch it in a week now, because I'm thoroughly invested in these characters, at least Son, and kind of seeing where the story goes, because I think shit, it's just hitting the fan all over the place, and they're not afraid to go to some dark places, which is going to be very interesting to me, because it's Netflix and they don't have all those restrictions that, you know, cable TV have a tendency to do sometimes. They go dark, but hey, we don't get as many motherfuckers and fucking and pussies and all this shit. So if you want to send feedback for the next 2 episodes, you can send that to blackgirlcouch@gmail.com. You can find this podcast on Podbean, Stitcher, iTunes, and Spotify at Black Girl Couch Reviews. My social medias will be down below. Please remember to subscribe, like, leave a comment on iTunes. I ain't got none. I'm lonely. Until next time, peace.